Did you know many farmers and backyard poultry keepers may be missing out on thousands of dollars every year without even noticing it? While most people are still focused on unstable chicken egg prices at the grocery store, a small group of smart growers and poultry keepers is quietly building real side income from a bird that is often overlooked. Welcome back to Farmyard Care, where we talk about practical, sustainable, and profitable ways to manage a homestead, a small farm, or even a simple backyard setup. Today we are looking at a bird that needs very little space, eats far less than a chicken, reaches maturity in only about 6 weeks, and can sell for prices that surprise many beginners when they first see the numbers. We are talking about quail. For a long time, quail were seen as a specialty bird, raised mostly for restaurants, hunting preserves, or by a few hobby keepers who simply enjoyed something different. But in recent years, three important changes have pushed quail into a much more profitable position. First, many urban and suburban poultry keepers discovered that while their homeowner association rules banned chickens, those same rules often said nothing about quail. Second, health-conscious buyers began paying attention to the rich nutrition packed inside quail eggs. And third, experienced breeders started developing rare color lines and specialty birds that can bring in premium prices. In this video, we are going to take a close look at the 8 most profitable quail breeds in the world. By the end, you will understand which breeds are the strongest producers, what each one can bring to your operation, and which combination may fit best with your space, your goals, and the market around you. But before we begin, ask yourself this: are you truly making the most of the space you already have? What if one quiet corner of your garage could produce more income than a half-acre vegetable garden? Let's open the door to that possibility. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and let's step into the practical, fascinating, and surprisingly profitable world of quail farming. Part 1. The Standard Coturnix, Pharaoh quail, the commercial backbone. If there is one name to remember before anything else on this list, it is the Standard Coturnix, often sold under the name Pharaoh. In small-scale quail farming, this bird is the foundation of nearly every profitable operation, and for good reason. The Standard Coturnix was domesticated in Japan as far back as 1595, then refined for more than 400 years with one clear purpose: outstanding egg production. A healthy Pharaoh hen can reach sexual maturity in just 6 to 8 weeks, which is faster than any chicken breed most backyard keepers will ever work with. Once she begins laying, she can produce around 280 to 300 eggs per year, under proper feeding and lighting conditions. That is nearly 1 egg a day from a bird small enough to fit in your hand. But the real strength of this breed is not only how many eggs it lays, it is how efficiently it turns feed and space into income. A Pharaoh hen eats roughly 20 to 25 grams of feed per day. At current commercial game bird feed prices, that works out to about 4 to 8 cents per bird each day. A flock of 100 hens may cost only $4 to $8 a day to feed, while producing about 90 to 100 eggs in that same time. Their housing needs are also very modest. Standard Coturnix can be kept at about 3 to 4 birds per square foot until 14 weeks of age, then around 2 square feet per bird after that. With that kind of density, a single 8-foot rabbit hutch can comfortably hold 30 to 40 laying hens. A small corner of a garage can quickly become a productive little farm. And from a nutrition standpoint, quail eggs are very attractive to premium buyers because, gram for gram, they are rich in protein, vitamin B12, riboflavin, and selenium compared with chicken eggs. The farmyard lesson: start here if you want to build a strong foundation. The Pharaoh quail reminds us that efficiency, consistency, and dependable production are the backbone of any successful farming business. Before chasing rare breeds or higher-priced markets, make sure your foundation is strong enough to carry the whole operation. Part 2. The Jumbo Brown Coturnix, the heavyweight champion. This is where serious commercial operators begin to separate themselves from casual hobby keepers. The Jumbo Brown Coturnix is the same species as the standard Pharaoh, but it has been selectively bred over many generations for one important trait: size. While a standard Coturnix usually reaches about 5 to 6 ounces of live weight, a true Jumbo Brown can reach 12 to 16 ounces, with good breeding lines often hitting 14 to 15 ounces by week 10. That means nearly twice the carcass from almost the same housing footprint and a very similar feed setup. The dressing percentage on a Jumbo Coturnix is usually around 70% to 75%, which is excellent for poultry. A 14-ounce live bird can yield roughly 9 to 10 ounces of clean-dressed meat. When restaurants are willing to buy whole-dressed quail for $4 to $7 per bird wholesale, the numbers can become very profitable very quickly. Egg production is only slightly lower than the standard type, usually around 250 to 280 eggs per year. but the eggs themselves are about 50% larger. That size makes a real difference when selling to customers. A jumbo quail egg looks closer to a small chicken egg, which helps overcome one of the biggest objections buyers often have: that regular quail eggs look too tiny to be worth cracking. But this is where experience matters. Genuine jumbo brown lines are not as common as many sellers make them sound. The market has plenty of birds labeled jumbo that are really just larger standard Coturnix and will never reach true 14-ounce size. Before buying breeding stock, ask the seller for the average weight of their hatching eggs. Eggs from true jumbo lines should weigh more than 14 grams. The farmyard lesson: quality control matters at every level. The jumbo brown teaches us to pay close attention to genetics, sourcing, and honest performance, not just labels. Whether you are building a flock, a garden, or a farm business, always ask yourself, are you paying for real quality or just a name that sounds impressive? Part 3, the Texas A&M, Jumbo White, the chef's favorite. Moving into number 3, we have the Texas A&M Quail. This is the bird that makes the most sense for anyone planning to sell directly to chefs, restaurants, and serious culinary buyers. Its value comes down to one very important thing: how it looks on the plate. The Texas A&M line was developed by poultry scientists at Texas A&M University as a jumbo quail, bred for pure white feathers and pale pinkish-white skin. That may sound like a small detail, but in the restaurant world, appearance matters. When dressed, a Texas A&M carcass looks much cleaner than a standard Brown Coturnix, which can leave darker pin feathers and more visible skin pigmentation. For a chef preparing a refined quail dish in a fine dining kitchen, that clean presentation can be the reason one supplier gets the order and another does not. These birds usually reach about 10 to 14 ounces of live weight by 8 to 10 weeks of age, while advanced XXL meat lines can reach 15 to 21 ounces. Their dressing percentage is strong, often around 70% to 75%, and they can produce roughly 200 to 280 eggs per year. There is one important trade-off to understand. Texas A&M quail cannot be sexed by feather color because both males and females are white. That means you either need to vent sex them, which takes experience and careful handling, or wait until they reach sexual maturity around 5 to 6 weeks, when the males begin to crow. Even with that challenge, the premium for presentation is real. One steady restaurant customer ordering 50 dressed birds per week at $5.50 wholesale can bring in roughly $14,000 in annual revenue from one reliable account. The farmyard lesson: know exactly who your buyer is. The Texas A&M reminds us that sometimes premium value is not only about production numbers, but about presentation. If your customer expects a cleaner, more refined product, then the way your product looks can directly affect how much they are willing to pay. Part 4. The Celadon Quail, the blue egg goldmine. Now we come to the bird that has quietly changed the high-end backyard quail market over the last several years: the Celadon Quail. The Celadon is not a separate species. It is a special genetic line of Coturnix that carries a rare autosomal recessive C gene. This gene changes the pigments released by the hen's shell gland, creating eggs with a beautiful solid pastel blue or blue-green shell. Both parents must carry the gene to produce blue-laying daughters, and that is one major reason this line has become so valuable. For years, demand from suburban keepers and backyard breeders has stayed far ahead of supply. Online listings for Celadon hatching eggs often sell out very quickly, and wait lists can stretch 12 to 16 weeks. That tells you something important. This is not just another egg-laying bird. It is a specialty product with a strong emotional pull. Now let's look at the numbers. Celadon hens can lay around 280 to 300 blue eggs per year, which puts them in the same production range as a Pharaoh quail. The real difference is the value of each egg. Standard quail eggs may sell for 60 to 90 cents each, while Celadon blue eggs can sell for $2 to $5 each at specialty farmers markets. That is a 4x to 8x markup. A small flock of 20 Celadon hens producing around 5,500 blue eggs per year, sold at a conservative price of $2 per egg, can generate about $11,000 in annual gross revenue. And that can come from a footprint smaller than a home office. Beyond table eggs, live chicks and fertile hatching eggs can also be very profitable, with hatching eggs often selling for around $25 per dozen. The farmyard lesson: scarcity and beauty can create real premium value. The Celadon quail proves the power of a strong niche. Instead of competing in a crowded commodity market, sometimes the better path is to create something rare, beautiful, and desirable enough that people are willing to wait for it. Part 5. The Italian Coturnix, the aesthetic earner. At number 5, we have a bird that many beginners pass over because it does not set the biggest records for body weight or egg production: the Italian Coturnix. But this bird earns its place on the list because it offers two very practical commercial advantages that can matter more than headline numbers. First, Italian Coturnix can be feather-sexed at only about 4 weeks of age. The males develop a smooth, uniform gold buff chest, while the females show the same warm base color with clear dark spotting. For anyone running a tight breeding or processing schedule, that is extremely useful. You can identify and separate males earlier, move them toward harvest sooner, free up pen space, and avoid wasting feed on birds you do not plan to keep. The second advantage is their appearance. Italian Coturnix have a beautiful warm gold and buff color, often with soft darker accents that make them stand out immediately. At a farmer's market, on a small farm tour, or in a direct-to-customer setup, these birds naturally draw attention in a way standard brown quail often do not. They have a refined, game bird look that gives customers a story to connect with, and that story can help close premium sales. In production, they remain dependable, laying around 250 to 280 eggs per year, with adult birds usually weighing between 5 and 7 ounces. The farmyard lesson. The Italian Coturnix performs especially well in agritourism, farm tours, and direct-to-consumer subscriptions where buyers want more than food. They want beauty, story, and connection. Efficient management, like early sexing, combined with visual appeal, can become a powerful selling point. The question is, how can you make your work more efficient while also making your farm more attractive to the people you serve? Part 6. The Tibetan Coturnix. The master breeder's secret number 6 is the Tibetan Coturnix. This is the bird for operators who understand that some buyers are not just looking for production. They are looking for a very specific look and a very specific breeding purpose. The Tibetan carries 2 extended brown genes, creating a deep, rich chocolate-colored plumage. Up close, the feathers can look almost black, but with a subtle mahogany glow that makes the bird feel striking and different. Put a Tibetan beside a standard Pharaoh, and it almost looks like a completely separate kind of quail. As producers, they are solid and dependable. They mature in about 6 to 8 weeks, lay around 250 to 280 eggs per year, and usually weigh 5 to 7 ounces, while jumbo lines can reach 10 to 12 ounces. So why does the Tibetan belong among the most profitable quail breeds? The answer is breeding value. Tibetans cross extremely well into Celadon lines, and Tibetan Celadon crosses are among the most desirable birds in the backyard quail market. A dark, dramatic hen that lays bright pastel blue eggs creates a combination that is hard to match anywhere else in poultry. Even by themselves, Tibetans can sell well to color collectors and breeders who may pay $10 to $20 per juvenile bird for foundation stock. A high-quality rooster from a strong Tibetan Celadon line can easily sell for $50 to $75 when offered to another serious breeder. The farmyard lesson. The Tibetan quail reminds us that sometimes you are not the main headline, but you may be the key piece that creates the headline. In farming, breeding, and business, combining the right strengths can multiply value quickly. The real opportunity may be in recognizing which unique trait you have, and what it can become when paired with the right partner. Part 7. The Northern Bobwhite and Georgia Giant, the sportsman's choice at number 7, we move outside the Coturnix family and look at the Northern Bobwhite. This bird earns its place because it serves a large and profitable market that Coturnix cannot fully reach: hunting preserves, field training, and game bird release programs. Bobwhites are native North American quail, and their natural flight behavior is exactly what hunters and bird dog trainers are looking for. They flush hard, fly fast, and behave in the field like wild quail, because that is exactly what they are built to do. For people training dogs or managing hunting land, that kind of authentic behavior is far more valuable than simple egg production. Now, the trade-offs are important. Bobwhites take around 16 to 17 weeks to mature, which is more than twice as long as Coturnix. They also lay far fewer eggs, usually about 80 to 100 eggs per year. Their housing needs are different as well. Instead of a simple stacked hutch, they need a covered flight pen with brush, cover, and enough room to build strength and natural movement. So why raise them? Because hunting preserves often buy mature birds by the hundreds. Live birds for release can sell for about $5 to $9 each. A flock that produces 500 mature bobwhites can bring in roughly $2,500 to $4,500 in live bird revenue, often through annual contracts with repeat buyers. If you also want a meat angle, the Georgia Giant is a selectively bred bobwhite line that can weigh nearly a full pound, around 14 to 16 ounces, while laying more than 100 eggs per year. That makes it attractive not only to hunting clubs, but also to restaurants looking for a larger, more substantial game bird. The farmyard lesson. Diversification matters. Bobwhites tap into the hunting and outdoor recreation market, which is separate from the food market. When local egg or meat prices slow down, recreation-based demand may still be strong. A smart farm looks at more than one income stream and asks where the next reliable customer might come from. Part 8, Chinese Paint Quail. The tiny treasure. Finally, at number 8, we have a bird that proves value does not always come from size. The Button Quail, also known as the Chinese Painted Quail. This is one of the smallest quail species in the world. A mature button quail stands only about 4 inches tall and weighs roughly 1.5 to 2 ounces. Their nickname is said to have come from World War I, when American soldiers compared the tiny newly hatched chicks to the buttons on their coats. Because they are so small, button quail are not raised for commercial meat. Their real value is in the pet, aviary, and specialty collector markets. They are quiet, manageable, and charming birds that can lay about 150 to 300 tiny eggs per year. Aviary owners especially appreciate them because they move along the floor, picking up spilled seeds and small insects, helping keep the enclosure cleaner and more active. From a business point of view, button quail require very little feed and can still produce strong returns through live bird sales and premium hatching eggs. But their value can go even further. On any homestead or hatchery, natural losses happen. Some creative farmers have found a market for educational and curiosity specimens by preserving chicks that do not survive as wet specimens. These can sell on platforms like Etsy for around $19 to $23 each, turning unavoidable hatchery losses into something useful for classrooms, collectors, and educational displays. The farmyard lesson. Think in terms of zero waste and creative value. The button quail reminds us that almost everything can have a market if you understand who needs it. Even small setbacks can become useful opportunities when you approach farming with patience, observation, and imagination. Conclusion, and that brings us to the 8 most profitable quail breeds in the world today. From the steady, unmatched efficiency of the standard Pharaoh Coturnix to the clean culinary appeal of the Texas A&M, the beautiful blue eggs of the Celadon, and the strong recreational market behind the Bobwhite, quail farming is much more than a small backyard hobby. It is a practical lesson in using space wisely. It is a reminder that niche markets can be more profitable than crowded ones. And for many small farmers and backyard keepers, it is a sustainable way to reconnect with food, land, animals, and the quiet productivity of a well-managed farmyard. So the real question is this: which of these breeds fits your space, your market, and your goals? Could one corner of your yard, shed, or garage become a small but powerful source of productivity and income? If you found this helpful and learned something new, hit the like button, share this video with other homesteaders, and subscribe to Farmyard Care for more practical deep dives into sustainable living and profitable farming. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and take good care of your farmyard.